There we go. And my name is Karen Furr, and I'm doing a series of conversations with shamanic practitioners that I know of and know. And one of my very, very special colleagues and friends, Anne Morgan, is joining us today, and she's going to talk about her and how she does what she does. She is a psychologist, a PhD psychologist. She's an artist, a writer, a survivor, um, an incredibly beautiful spirit. So I just want to introduce um, Anne and just welcome to Conversations and welcome to all of you who are on. Appreciate your tuning in. This is recorded, so I will post this as soon as I can get it, ready to post. But I started this a couple of weeks ago. It's a dream that I've had for a long time to video interview, or have a conversation with different people who are shamanic practitioners, but in a variety of different ways, so that the listener and the viewer can get an idea of, one, yes, we're normal people, but but two, we do come from a wide range of experiences and lives and gifts and talents. So, Anne, I'm just going to give it to you, and please tell us about yourself.
Well, to begin, I am in the process of reinventing myself, as we all are. That's the spirit of this time, is finding new ways to communicate, new ways to be. And it's an extraordinary opportunity. I am deeply grateful every day for the gift of life, for the gift of friendship, for my shamanic community, my colleagues, friends, the whole earth, every part of creation. The flowers, which I have around me from our garden, I just picked right before the call, the beauty that surrounds us. And we can learn so much from nature because we are part of nature. We're one with nature. And I think one of the most beautiful things is allowing yourself this present this moment to be, to observe, to become part of this, the beauty that's there, in spite of the virus, in spite of the chaos, in spite of the sadness that's there as well. For me, I think the fundamental teachings that I've personally lived through in my life, my very eccentric life, living in many different ways, which I can explain in a moment, has meant that joy, fundamental joy in the present moment, delight, playfulness, dancing with life, not against it, going with the flow, not trying to resist what is, but seeing what underlies all, the oneness of it all. Just to explain a little bit about my background, I grew up in 4 continents, speaking 4 different languages, one of which I promptly forgot after I realized that I was considered an outsider. So my sister and I made a pact that we would never speak Japanese again. And but each culture brought a richness. So as a little girl, I would pray. I learned to pray in Japanese at Shinto shrines, which are an ancient shamanic tradition, at Buddhist temples. Then when living in Washington, D.C., I went to a private school because we were so foreign that the public schools advised our parents not to put us in the public school. So we went to a private school that was part of the Episcopalian Church, the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. In that school, there were people from different backgrounds. A lot of my classmates, even though it was an Episcopalian school, were Jewish. Then from there, we moved to Africa, to what is known as Côte d'Ivoire. And in Côte d'Ivoire, I went to local schools with Africans. Their experience of reality, of course, was very different from what my background had been. Their joy and heartfelt being was a total inspiration for me. Well, it just was a heart-opening experience. I was a teenager, 13 to 17 years old. My classmates came from, some of them came from very economically privileged African families. Others, one of my girlfriends spent the summers working in the fields when she went back to her village. There was a push by the president of Côte d'Ivoire to get women educated because he felt they would go back and educate their village. Unfortunately, for that, they realized very soon their education put them apart from their villagers, and they weren't allowed the voice that the president hoped that they would have. But this emphasis on educating girls was a delight. I went to Africa to Mass with African drums and singers, and it was just wonderful. I went to what are called pagan funerals or rituals, seeing different attitudes towards spirit. That was when I was introduced to shamanism and in a more profound way, in terms of, well, yes, this can be practiced and learned, whether it was divination or how to be with spirit. I learned that some people are really afraid of the medicine man, and that was very insightful. And I was so surprised. They were getting the same French style education as I was, right. and yet they were afraid of the medicine man. What an experience! I mean, it was. I would look at them. Wow, this is their point of view. Right. I saw racial hatred, not between white and black, but white to white. Right. That must have been Palestinians. That was shocking. Palestinians to Israelis who were present. But most of all, it was that heartfelt warmth. The mothers of my classmates would work in the market selling groceries. So I'd go to the market, then they'd wave and say hello, or they would greet my mother because they would know that she was my mother. Wow, you're the daughter of Anne. And from there we went to Vienna, Austria, which was again totally different. Almost all of my friends were Catholic, a few Protestant, but mainly Catholic. So I went with them to Mass, their Mass. Mm-hmm. I heard gorgeous music and celebration. Oh my gosh, in the cathedrals and a different version of faith, a different kind of faith, a very old one, but from in the countryside to the city, how it shifted from one place to another, from the very small to the very formal, large, etc. So, and then from there we moved to Florida, which was a big surprise.
And there you are.
And here we are. So from each place, a learning, an enriching, and from all of that, again, how we are all one and are striving for what we truly want and truly believe in. We're all one with that. Right. And it's not that one kind of striving is better than the other, or it's just, and it comes through a cultural lens. I studied Tibetan Buddhism for quite a while, and that's a cultural lens, learning very poor version of saying the words in Tibetan rather than in English. But every lens, every culture, and that's a richness that just adds to the experience of life. But most recently, the recent experience is that I was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic cancer 3.5 years ago. And in that, I lived, and I say we as my husband, my family, my community, we lived with uncertainty. And on a daily basis, we did not know. The outcomes were statistically grim, but I was absolutely determined. And I worked a lot with shamanic realms, inviting my teachers to guide me, to teach me, my power animals to help me. And the lesson I learned from all of that is trust, faith, patience, persistence, and most of all, never ever to feel sorry for myself. Mm-hmm. Because that was, I never did. I felt that the cancer was a blessing in my life, and I feel that totally. I learned so much from that experience, and I'm so grateful to it. And that's a very fast.
Well, first I want to say I remember when you announced that diagnosis, and so many of us have walked with you these past 3.5 years, and I really will attest that you have managed against all odds to maintain that sense of joy in just being alive. It was such a witness. I also want to say, everybody, this is a conversation. So if you have a question, a thought, a comment, whatever, please feel welcome to join in.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Anne, when you were distilling the lessons from the cancer journey, you said trust, faith, patience, perseverance, never feeling sorry for yourself. And what was there something else you said? I didn't want to. These are the pearls. I want to get them all.
I think also it's about seeing what a gift the cancer was in my life. It wasn't my enemy. It was just energy in the wrong place. I talked with it. I talked with spirit, and I think I have a huge advantage in that I do not fear death. I've had several experiences where I wasn't sure whether I would live in my lifetime, and that lack of fear meant that I could talk with the cancer. And what does it have to teach me? What does it have to show me about my life? For the longest time, I was looking for the cause, because I fall outside the category of all the known causes. The kind of cancer I got, I should have been a male truck driver, smoking all my life, with overweight and basically not exercising. And instead, I'm female, I'm younger, I never smoked in my life, I exercise a lot. I don't fit the parameters of the standard patient with the kind of cancer I have. So for the longest time, I was looking at why, because I wanted to get at the root and learn the lesson from it and release it. If what was meant to be, if I was meant to live, which I felt I was, then what can I learn from this? Mm-hmm. What can I learn? And I refused to allow fear and negativity in my life. And for that, I'm very grateful to my husband, Brent, because he was the one who communicated the latest news from the Mayo Clinic to the outer world. He's the one who did all the research, to check the statistics. What are the therapies that are possible? What's not possible? He focused on the science. I focused on spirit, and just allowing, and it's the same with the virus here. Just allowing it to be, not to resist the present moment. Because even in the present moment, even with the isolation, the things we're doing to help preventing the spread, to prevent getting it ourselves. There is such beauty and joy in this present moment. And to focus on that, I will always choose love, always, over anything else, always.
Amen to that. I have a different, wait a minute, there we go. The artwork in the background, Anne, is that yours?
Yeah, this piece, I don't know whether you can see it. I'll try and move the camera a little closer.
Yeah, it's visible.
Is it visible?
Yeah.
When I first got good news from the Mayo, which is a year and 3 months ago, I did a gratitude walk. I happened to be by the Atlantic Ocean, and I did a walk of gratitude where I was thanking all the helping spirits, the spirit of place, the spirit of nature, all the shamanic community members, all the beings in all realms, all the beings in the middle world who have helped me, my oncologists, et cetera, everything. And in that moment, I felt one with absolutely everything. And all of a sudden, I don't know whether you can tell, there became this complete mirror in front of me of a little bit of water across the sand that became a mirror to the sky. And it was, I've never seen it before. And since I know that beach very well, it's never happened before. It was at a time when there should have been wind that disturbed it, late afternoon. No, it was wind still. And it was as if the nature was speaking to, it was nature speaking to me, saying, yes, we are all one. And so out of that, I started making artwork, and I took photographs during that walk, and that's what that is. It's a photograph printed on canvas, and with just as you see it. Some of them I asked a friend to use Adobe Photoshop to eliminate the people, not because the people weren't part of that oneness, but that wasn't the point. It was to feel that complete connection with nature. So I kept on doing that. So every time I got the next bit of good news, which was 6 months later was the next one, I did another series. And then after that, I did another piece, one in the background. I don't know whether you can see.
Yeah.
The vertical one, that is from the summer gratitude walk. And then I don't have one of the most recent ones, but it was truly a feeling of oneness with all that is. And nature was just gifting me with such extraordinary beauty, which I'm happy that you can see.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. When did you really get into shamanism? When did you really start on that path? Do you remember?
I started studying in the 90s, and I studied, I don't know what year I started the basic workshop, which I went to Tallahassee for, an early student of Sandra Ingerman's. And then I started attending Sandra's workshops directly. I made the decision I only wanted to study with her, in addition to 2 Native American teachers, who came into actually, there were 2 Native American teachers who were very powerful, who came into my life, and just extraordinary experiences. And that's when I started. I didn't do it with any intention, this is going to be a career and this will be, I was just open. The same thing that we're facing now, just being open to something new emerging that will be part of our future, what we're collectively creating as our future.
Do you have an active practice?
Absolutely.
With clients,
absolutely.
And you're seeing people?
Well, I decided when I became ill 3.5 years ago, that I needed to focus all my energies on my own health.
Yeah.
However, I kept teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So my advanced group still came, and there would be days, we would set up the time and the date in advance. I'd always ask the helping spirits, what should I teach, what date, all that. And then that morning, I might feel really terrible, so much so that my husband would ask me, are you up for this? Do you want to cancel? And I said, no, I was led. And sure enough, by the time class started, I was feeling well enough to teach. And I feel like in all of shamanism, we're just hollow bones. I love that analogy.
Yeah.
We just are letting the light pour through. And it's not me, individual, and Morgan. Maybe because my brain is wired a certain way, certain words will come through in a certain accent. Mm-hmm. Hard to define accent, and with certain expressions, but it isn't my wisdom. Right. It's from spirit, and from the spirit. Mm-hmm. So I love that. So I've continued with teaching. My focus is teaching, mm-hmm. and because of what I've lived through, I want to give back. And so teaching, helping people who are going through a healing journey, mm-hmm. And maybe inspiring them on that journey.
Have you found with the COVID-19, are you having to adjust how you do that?
Absolutely, and I haven't yet. I may be, how I'm going to teach, I don't know yet. But I have offered my communities locally I've offered to teach via Zoom, and I have to yet, of course, learn how to use the technology, Karen. but this is just the beginning. So so I don't know yet. It's the beginning of this journey.
Yeah.
But yes, the virus is making us be creative in totally different ways, and I love it because it's opening up these new horizons, new ways, and then we can decide what is truly important for us.
Yeah, so. I know a couple Sundays ago when it really broke in this part of the country. I'm a Catholic priest, and in the Catholic Church we use a chalice, right? And so people came in, sat down, and I had shot glasses for everybody. It was great.
I think that's lovely.
It was great. Everybody would just same thing, and then the logistics of it we're ironing out. But it's just amazing how you just change a little bit and make sure that you're doing what you need to do.
Yes.
Yeah. How long did your art, is the art a response to your cancer, or is how did your art evolve? Is that a long time ago? A lifetime thing?
I think for myself, it's what speaks to my heart. And so what speaks to my heart at different times has changed, but not fully. There's a piece of artwork on the wall, the springs behind me. That's an older piece, but the natural springs here are extraordinarily beautiful, and that spoke to me. The sky that you the evening sky that that's a gratitude walk one as well. So the artwork is a reflection of my heart, and how that changes as I evolve, change, shift. But I've worked in many different mediums. I worked in sculpture. I had bronzes. I worked in clay. I worked in painting and drawing. I'm not a very good painter, but I do have some paintings. I'm judging myself, but that's not my forte. I would say in the last 10 or 15 years, through various conditions, it's been photography.
Yeah.
Because I feel that I've been capturing a moment that is part of a universal moment, not just this particular moment in time.
How do you use, I know in my practice, I'm very grateful that I have a counseling background.
Yeah.
How do you use your psychology skills with, I mean, do you find that you blend when you're working with people? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And even though, when I was a psychologist, I focused a lot on research, but I worked with children in a children's clinic of the University of Vienna. What was so interesting, what I learned from that, two major things. And one of them is how children, even when they're 4 years old or 5 years old, can communicate with you through play. And it's like the unconscious mind, even if they don't have the words to explain what's going on in their family or how they view themselves versus their parents, their unconscious mind has ways to express this through in a controlled situation with a game. And so how it's possible to find ways of communication that lie beyond our conscious awareness. Hence journaling. Journaling helps to break through that conscious awareness, so that we tap into something that's deeper and broader and vaster than our conscious awareness.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, so my conscious mind as a psychologist might say, oh, I recognize what this person is bringing to the table, and this particular bit of information might be useful. And then in journeying, something even more insightful might emerge for that person.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about it.
Does anybody out there, does everybody understand the concept of shamanic journeying? Just say yes or no. If you don't understand it, just say, okay. Everybody has a sense of what that is. Okay.
Yes, I do. Thanks to Mushroom.
Mushroom was on before and last week, and just, do you know Mushroom, Anne? Mushroom Montoya?
No, I don't. I'm looking forward to the interview.
He is he lives in Long Beach, a brilliant practitioner. He didn't talk about this last week, but he had an accident. Somebody hit him when he was riding his bike. And this is Mushroom. And Mushroom, when you see this, just smile, because I just think this is delightful. His daughter, adult daughter, made him afterwards a suit out of bubble wrap. So, but he's, anyway, getting back, how do you how long have you been in Gainesville? I mean, you've been moving around all your life. Have you been in Gainesville for a good number of years?
Yes, for a while now, 1985. Yeah. And it's I have to say now it's a much nicer place, much more open place than it was when I arrived. Mm-hmm. When I came here, it was the feeling was somewhat claustrophobic. There were a lot of warring churches. You'd go out in the countryside and, you'd see signs about this being the only right church, and, all of that. And it's gotten much, just like the world, much more international, broader, opening, welcoming. The university has grown by leaps and bounds. I think the last rating was number 11 on the best public university list in the United States. So it's it's attracted a lot of very bright minds to this area, and also with it, the population has shifted. It's a young population. You know, South Florida, particularly on the West Coast, Sarasota, that area is an older population. Gainesville is a very young population. And it's a changing one because there are over 55,000 students. And so, you know, it's always changing and renewing itself, but they've had to adapt too. All the courses at the university are online via Zoom.
Wow.
All of the, and that's not just this semester, it's all through the summer semester. Graduation, which is a huge deal for everybody, for families, for students, has been postponed until the end of July. It was supposed to take place in early May. And so everybody here within Gainesville has had to adapt and change and shift. We all are, and we're all in this together.
Yes.
So Gainesville, even in these conditions, has changed so much in the years that I've lived here. And there's more openness. There are a lot of people who don't know that I'm a shamanic practitioner who live here in Gainesville. And I've kept it quiet because a lot of people equate shamanism with demonic, you know. So that's part of the issue.
I've had that conversation many times.
Yes. Yeah. So you understand, Karen.
I do.
And I just felt, you know, I don't want to spend time explaining to a broader audience, and just work with people who are open and who are interested.
Well, you know, a lot of times when people first encounter a shamanic practitioner, they're not sure exactly what to expect. And I call it bone in the nose, you know. We can really do it.
Yes.
Or just lay back. I had a client one time, and I went to her home, and usually the way I sense what I'm going to need is, as we're talking, I'll just intuitively pull things out of my bag, right, and put them on the table. And I had gotten at a yard sale an X-Acto knife box, a little, you know, it's no bigger than that. It's nice wood, and it has X-Acto on it, and that's where I put all my sage, because I don't use smudge sticks. I use the leaves. You know, sage is one of my helping spirits, and so that's kind of what sage asked me to do. So I just put it in the X-Acto box, and so she's, you know, never met a shamanic practitioner before, didn't know what to expect, was, you know, kind of, you know, so I'm pulling stuff out, and I pulled that X-Acto box out and I put it down. Her eyes got that. I thought, I think she thinks I'm gonna, you know, do something, you know. So I said, no, this is just sage. So they just, you know, people just, when they first encounter. Have you ever had, I'm not sure how to ask that question, but have you ever encountered that kind of, oh, what am I going to get here type stuff from your clients? Or?
Oh yes, apprehension, fear. One of the most common responses has been, I'm afraid of what you'll find. I don't want you to, you know, there are parts of my history I don't want you to know about. It's the implication of what they come. And I have to explain, there's nothing bad, you know, in the journey. We're bringing back for soul retrieval just your personal power, not the bad part, not the trauma, and the sense of relief.
Yeah.
I feel from them when they realize it's not about my finding out something bad about them that they need to be careful and hide.
Right.
It's not important, you know.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
I do. Now that I found my camera, I came back on. I see. I thought I didn't know what was going on there. Yeah, I do have a question, and just out of curiosity, because I didn't realize you had such a traveling upbringing,
Yes.
all the different cultures. So when you started to do journey work and shamanic work, I mean, did some of those cultures come in as your teachers at different times or experience? Because boy, that you've walked on those different parts of the earth. And I know at least many people have teachers and guides from different cultures that come in, right? But now
Right.
you've actually been on these places as, you know, as a young one coming up. So did that come in?
Well, that's a very good question, Barb. You know, one of the things that has surprised me about the shamanic path is that the teachers in spirit who have come through to me are, for the most part, totally unknown to me. They're not from a particular culture. They're not from a recognizable religion or any of that. And I've also been surprised that not everyone, but for the most part, they've been male. And I tend to gravitate toward female energy. You know, the feminine. My persona is very feminine, peace-loving, collaborative. That's who I am. So I've often puzzled about why is it that I have so many male teachers, and why is it that they are from cultures and dimensions I don't know. And I think part of it has to do with learning about existence beyond Earth, and that existence that's created in all these other dimensions that has nothing to do with what I've experienced or you and I experience in this world. And that's one of my the lessons that I've been shown over and over again. As for power animals, the power animals that have come in for me in my life, they've ranged from power animals that I'm allergic to in this mundane reality to animals that I did see in the wild in Africa, for example. So the whole gamut of, so in that sense, place has played some role, but the places that I'm shown are often not places I've actually been to, or have they're more the spiritual reflection of our Earth reality in another dimension. When I was studying Buddhism, I was given the name in Tibetan, translated into English, as Divine Lamp of Immortality. And I puzzled about that as well. And I realized maybe this I'm going to shift to my regular microphone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, barely.
Can you hear me, Karen?
It's not as clear, but yeah.
Whoops.
Oh, there you go.
My earpods have started to die.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My earpods have started to die, but did you hear that? So that with the Tibetan name, Divine Lamp of Immortality, maybe that's also why I was supposed to focus on these other realms, that life continues after this existence, and to remind people of that. And that helps overcome the fear that we all inevitably experience through life of, well, is this my end? Is this our end? Is this the Earth's end? I don't know. Those are answers I just surrender. I surrender to what is. Yeah. That's a great question, Barb. Thank you. You know, I often wish I could go back to some of the villages I visited in Africa, and but no, that's not where I'm taken in a journey at all.
What an advantage to
Thanks,
have
Tom.
that you have having traveled so much. That is just incredible, you know. It just is.
Yeah, it's very different. It means it has meant really focusing on the present moment, on what is.
Yeah.
And, you know, because I changed schools 7 times in between first grade and 12th grade.
Yeah.
Languages, schools, friends, you know, they all changed.
Yeah.
And so if you do that, just like, you know, an army brat, only my father was in the foreign service, same thing. You know, you have to learn to adapt to what is, and the
Yeah.
present moment is the gift that you're given.
I know my dad was in the army, and so we
Yeah,
did that whole, every 2, 3 years off we go. I loved it.
yeah,
Loved it. My brother hated it. He never
Mhm.
wanted to
yeah.
leave, and but I loved it. I love that.
I just accepted it for what it was. That was my life, and it was normal, you know,
Yeah.
because it was what I was experiencing. To somebody else, it's not normal.
Yeah.
But that's what we're confronting right now with the virus time, is a new normal, a new way of being, a new way of being with each other, with the world, with our own selves, with our spirit.
Hmm.
And we're growing, and
Yeah.
we're creating, I think, in the long run, a much more globally aware consciousness and community,
I
and not
really,
so much.
yeah, I believe that. I think this virus it's a catalyst for something. We have been in this shift, and this is a mantra that I repeat over and over again to whoever will listen. We are in this incredible shift of paradigms,
Mhm.
Yes,
and it seems like as tragic as uh, this virus, is creating in the world, there's a tremendous blessing also in that it's
yes,
ushering in, it's giving us an opportunity to see, well, one thing, what does the planet look like without all the pollution? What do the streets look like without all the crowds,
yeah,
um
exactly.
and how welcoming, and I'm seeing this over and over again, how welcoming people are in seeing species that don't usually come into town
Mhm.
just taking a nice casual stroll down Main Street. Somebody posted pumas, mountain lions going down,
Wow.
mountain goats came into town in one community, and we're seeing this, and we're responding to it in a positive way, at least on the
Wow.
threads that I see in social media.
Yeah,
It's opening us,
yeah,
you know, and I think we're ready for that opening.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And obviously there's a lot of fear in the collective, and
Hmm.
a lot of panic and concern about food and money and housing, and we can help however we can with
Hmm.
that. But I think as a shamanic practitioner, one of the best things we can do is provide that overview, that moving beyond this, seeing this from a higher or larger
Yeah.
perspective.
Mm.
That's
Hmm.
that's a great gift.
Yeah.
And just reminding people to smile or be playful or begin to communicate in old-fashioned ways, like playing puzzles at home, or you know what, whatever it is,
Whatever it happens to be. Yeah.
Yes,
Slowing down.
yes,
I'm
slowing down.
starting to see now in some parts of the country, this is like week 2 or 3 of, everybody staying in home. And I'm starting to see people starting to post, well, I really didn't realize how stressed I was in my job until I had time to just breathe. And now that I'm at home, without anything else to do, I'm realizing that I can breathe, and I can just,
Yes,
take time. So if nothing else, what COVID is doing for us is slowing us down,
yes,
you
which we
know,
need.
which is very much, every tradition on the face of the planet has something related to be still and know that I am God. You know, every tradition has a variation of that wisdom. is just slow
Yeah.
down. And
Absolutely.
and now we're forced to. And I'm not, and that's not to discount the hardships that people are going through. You know?
No.
Not to discount that one bit. But like you were saying, there is a broader picture. You know, there's a bigger picture out there. And you know, the class that I'm teaching a year long, and we journeyed to the coronavirus, and the next thing is to journey to the descendants, our descendants, not our descendants, but the descendants, and ask them, how did their ancestors resolve this crisis? What worked? What didn't work? How did they come out on the other side of that? Have you done any explorations of that?
I haven't journeyed to the descendants yet, but
Uh-huh.
but I did journey to the virus,
Oh.
and that was a fascinating and very surprising journey, and it tied in with some of Sandra's teachings about making friends with aspects of nature, because it is an aspect of nature, and making friends with it, and just listening, learning to listen, truly listen to what the virus is saying, and truly be open to the message of be one with all that is right now.
Is that the message
And
that you got from virus?
that was the main focus of it all. But also, in addition, it was listening to the virus, not looking at it, not from a place of fear, but from a place of getting to know it as one would making a new friend. And not that I'm inviting the virus into my personal life or inviting to linger, but to understand it from a different way. We all crave to be heard, or just like a tree spirit would love to communicate with us.
Yeah.
We just have to be still and listen. Or these flowers that I picked up this morning from our garden.
Those
These
are
are
beautiful.
amaryllis blooms that are blooming right now. How they are communicating in their own language, which we try and listen to find out what they have to say. I think it's very, very important not to do the combative, me versus it, or me versus them, on a human level, on a nature level. We are fundamentally underneath it all one. So if we want to move beyond a fear state, then go into the oneness and listen, watch, observe what comes through. What are the messages that come through for you individually, collectively? There's a lot of wisdom there for us. We just have to take the time, and now we have it.
Yeah. I was in the grocery store a couple days ago, and I had my mask and I had gloves, and my little wipe to wipe down the cart. And so I'm going down the aisle, and I caught myself. I was like, I know you're out there. Just not, let's not, I was having this conversation with this unseen
Yes.
reality,
Yes.
just the
And
reality.
it's not that different. It's not that different from the unseen world of the helping spirits. Not at all.
Exactly.
So I think it'd be very funny if we all took a shamanic practitioner photograph with us all wearing the mask and the gloves. I could just see that, Karen. That would be so much fun.
With our power animals or whatever.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We could draw them
Draw
on
them on.
Hey, Anne.
Yes, artist.
It's how would you relate your relationship with the virus to the relationship that you have had over the last few years with cancer?
The virus relationship is a very new one. The cancer one I've been familiar with for a much longer time. so there's greater familiarity with that. There is a certain resemblance in the sense that, in a way, it's what might be considered misplaced energy that is in the wrong spot for the well-being of a particular organism. So the cancer that was in my body, which went undetected until we got the right group of treatments and that all the spirits came to help and all that, that was misplaced energy. It's not like the bad guy. It just is misplaced energy. The same with the virus. It does not belong in human beings, except for now it's a growth opportunity. But it actually doesn't belong in this realm right now. It's misplaced energy. In that sense, it's there's a similarity. Does that answer your question, Artis?
Well, it does, and just the relationship that's non-resistant, as you're describing, and
Yes.
Something to learn from.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely. Absolutely. The resistance, the fear, fear is an incredible attractant.
Yes.
You know, the person who's very deadly afraid of spiders is definitely going to encounter a spider. I mean, it's uncanny, and that it can, fear can act as an attractant. That doesn't mean not to take precautions. Of course, that's smart. That's using discernment, but it's different from using discernment. It's like my taking supplements to help support my immune system so my body can remove the cancer more easily and effectively. That's the discernment, or the gloves, the mask, the supplements that we take to build our immune system so we won't get if we get it, we don't get a bad case of it. So that would be the difference between the two. Mm-hmm. Or the similarity, actually, and the difference being that this is new, and the cancer was something inside my body. The virus, I don't have the virus. It's external to me at the present time.
And they're both big game changers.
Yes, exactly. They change us. They change. The cancer has changed me profoundly. I'm a much more compassionate, kinder human being. I've had to change my lifestyle. I've had to make it much quieter and calmer than it had been before. I couldn't go out and I couldn't travel. I couldn't do a lot of the things that I love. But that doesn't matter. And the virus is doing this on a much larger scale. Not just for me personally, but for everybody. And it's something that we can learn from. We can, and even in our quietude, for those who live alone or those who don't have anybody who can share, or any being to share their quiet space with, the questions to ask are, well, what is important to you? What is truly important to you? So after this virus passes, as it surely will, like all phenomena in nature, it will pass. What is it that I want to manifest, and how do I want to use my precious life, my precious energy? In what direction, with whom, how do I want to manifest? What do I want to manifest? What is it that enriches my life? And for shamanic practitioners, a wonderful way is to journey, journey to your helping spirits, to ask, what is it that you care about, and how should you change your life?
It's okay, and your audio is coming through very clear.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, because my microphones are making those fading sounds. Okay. I mean, my AirPods. And I have my thingy. I was charging one. So good. I'm glad. Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions?
I have one. This is kind of a personal question, and I don't really struggle with this because I know, as you know, and my brother is working with
Yes,
cancer, and
yes,
so um, I need to just be his sister because that's where he'll take information from or not. But you've been
yes,
in your treatments, you've been around, you've been through this, you've worked with it, you've been with others that have been going through the process. And
Oops, my earpods finally must have.
because he doesn't
Barb,
talk about it.
Barb, you're coming in and out.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I
About your
don't,
brother, yes.
well, I don't talk to him a lot about the cancer because he's he's taking his path with it, and that's what needs to happen. But I know that you've been around a lot of people that have had cancer as you went through this,
Yes.
and everybody deals with it to get their lessons. But I guess when you said, you know, what am I learning from this? To me, that felt like a nice thing that I could enter into a conversation with him
Yes,
about that.
yes, and a
'Cause-
very helpful one, because it's about, you know, and instead of resisting what is, you know, because, you know, first thing, cancer, fear,
Right.
no cure, um, uh, short life. How am I going to manage? How can I hold the job? How can I, you know, all of these things come up, all of these thoughts.
Right.
But to turn that over and just say, what can I learn from this? What is it teaching me about who I am?
Mm-hmm.
And not just who I am, but what I really truly care about. What is the most important thing to me? And that I asked that question, and for me, it was to live in love and not to live in fear. And even if people around me were fearful, and they were, I refused to accept that energy. I chose to live in and with love. And love heals. Love produces miracles. And it's not because I'm sitting here at your work, your shamanic help, our communities help, everybody helped. But that attitude of what can help me most through this time. And another thing is to be absolutely determined. I am determined. And I would do everything and anything. So whether it's alternative medicine, Western medicine, everything coming together. And I know my body quite well. I knew something was wrong before it was diagnosed. It was just very hard to diagnose. So I listened to my body. So even when the oncologist said something, I listened to my body first. And sometimes I disagreed with the oncologist. So and it turned out that my trust was right. That my oncologist said one of the things that I've been teaching him and his staff is the power of a positive attitude. That changes everything. Mm-hmm. I do not look at cancer as my enemy, nor do I look at anything as my enemy. I look at it as this incredible opportunity to expand into an ever more loving self on this earth.
That is so
I
inspiring.
hope that helps him. He's on my prayer list.
Yeah.
And just to repeat, you shared the pearls of your learning through that relationship and through that journey with cancer early on in our conversation. Would you mind going over those items on your list and just explain, because you know, the patience and the
I think, you know, results for me did not happen right away, and I would go through these agonizing treatments with tremendous side effects, and nothing changed. And and so not to give up, but to persist. And that is I think we're about to run out of time, but that is
That's
the
okay.
biggest lesson. Just persist. Do not give up. And so it turned out when we finally got the good news, I'd had 2 surgeries, 2 rounds of chemo, 2 rounds of 2 different kinds of immunotherapy. And what finally worked was the second round of the second immunotherapy, but it worked way after the last infusion. And the oncologist said, it's rare that this happens, but it does happen. So welcome miracles into your life. Welcome all miracles. It's possible.
Does anybody have any question? Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sandy.
Hi, Sandy.
I'm stage 4 cancer challenged at the moment, and I'm interested in your conversation that you had with the cancer. I understand from your perspective, your relationship to cancer and virus, and that's valuable. But did the cancer itself say anything specific or ask anything specific of you?
Gosh, it's been a while since I journeyed to the cancer, but I think those are very important questions to ask, Sandy. To ask from your specific cancer, just like mine is a different cancer from yours, and it's located not only different kind, it responded to different kinds of treatment, and just finding out what is this being and why is it in my life? What do I have to learn about who I have been? What do I need to change in my life? One thing before is I did have some boundaries, not many. I had to create a whole bunch more. I had to. There were dear friends who wanted to visit me. I had to say, no, I'm so sorry. I'm just not, I have to focus all my energy on just helping my body recognize the cancer and eliminating it with the immune system. And so I love my friends. I love them dearly. For me to have to tell them, I'm so sorry. They offered to bring food. I could not. I had to say thank you. But I'd have to ask my husband to help with that. Or I had my sister, who's one of the most dear people in my life. She got so concerned about my well-being. I had to ask her to just please just love. No concern, no fear. She lost a lot of weight because she was so worried. She got sick herself. I only surrounded myself and felt and tapped into love, universal love, personal love, finding the love within yourself, working on your own feeling of self-worth, saying, I am worthy of wellness. I am worthy of receiving this gift of life. And I am worthy of life for whatever reason I'm going to be shown in the future to manifest. Does that help you, Sandy?
Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you.
I encourage you. That those are very, very good questions to ask, and ask of your cancer, and rethink your life in terms of what is truly important. I realized I've been living a lot of my life for other people. I'm a healer, so I have a healing practice. To say no to people who are coming to me for healing, that was really hard. But I realized that there are a lot of healers in this world, a lot of them. And although we each have their unique energies, I'm replaceable, but I'm not replaceable to the light that is shining within me. And that light I had to get to know, deepen with, and then find ways to express it.
And is there anything that you wanted to say but have not had the opportunity? Is there a question that
could you?
Okay, who's
This is Susan. Hi, Anne. You're amazing. whatever you went through with the cancer and the wisdom you got shines on you. But when you were talking about the message of the verse, my audio was horrible. And could you kind of, I know you, there was like one sentence you said about that I didn't catch.
Yeah. So you want to hear about, I beg your pardon?
You said on your journey, you asked, what is the message of the virus? And
Yes.
I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, of the virus or the cancer?
No, of the virus. Of the virus.
The virus for me, the fundamental lesson is to be one, to feel the oneness with all that is in this present moment, because it's this present moment that we are gifted with. We're gifted with life, being, seeing, hearing, smelling, movement, whatever we're gifted with in this present moment. That is the biggest gift, and to feel grateful for that gift.
Okay.
That was the biggest lesson.
Okay.
So Anne, is there, well, hold on, we've got another question.
So is there somebody else who wants
Do
to
you
ask
have a
a question? Or?
Mary?
I was trying to show a symbol of gratitude and thank you because I need to go now.
Okay.
But this has been very interesting and helpful, and thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so glad.
You can listen to this again. I'm going to post this on shamanzoom.com under recordings. So just that recording.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it'll be there. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, you too.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, artist.
Thank you. I have this picture. I don't know if this will show, but this is the life's journey etching that you did. Anne, can you see it? Maybe
I can see it. I don't know whether others can. Maybe if you hold it a little further back. It's all about life's journey and how we, you know, we're sailing through life, and there are storms on the horizon, and there's sunlight. That's part of life, and we survive.
Yeah. Yeah. So always going towards the light.
Yes, always
Yes.
going to, for me, that's my personal quest, is always going toward the light, manifesting the light, manifesting love and kindness, in whatever form is appropriate at the given time.
Well, is there a question that you wanted to answer that wasn't asked? Is there something you would like to?
Gosh, everyone was so wonderful, and I would just say, be inspired by the present moment. There's so many gifts. Don't focus on the limitations of the present moment, but on what is available in the present moment. You may not have enough toilet paper, but you have something else that's just beautiful and precious in this present moment. Focus your awareness with gratitude on what you have right now. So that is the biggest gift. Yeah. That's helped me through so much. Not to focus on lack, but to focus on abundance. The abundance that is the breath, the simple breath. We can breathe right now. All of us who are on this call. What a gift. What a gift.
Thank you, Anne. I love you even more. You know,
well,
totally.
Each of you has been an inspiration. Thank you for your questions, and I look forward to any comments or if you have any further questions, please email me. Karen has my email. If you don't have it, you're welcome to email me. I'd be happy to answer them.
If you want, Anne,
many blessings on your path.
Yeah, Anne, I'll put that on shamanzoom.com, you know, your contact information with your email. Next week, I'm going to be having a conversation with Greg Miller. I don't know if you know him. He's a physician, and a shamanic practitioner, and we're going to talk about all things related to that. And so y'all are all welcome to join next week at the same time. And Anne, thank you so much for the gift of your life, for the gift of your presence, and absolutely for the gift of your spirit. You are a beautiful soul.
Yeah, so are you, all of you. It's like attracting like.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much.
Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember, stay well, stay distanced. Physically, but not socially. You know?
Not spiritually. Yeah.
And yes, and if you have any questions, my contact information is on, or will be on, shamanzoom.com or spiritdrum.org. That's my Spirit Drum is my website, spiritdrum.org. If you'd like to help support this project, I accept donations. Please feel welcome to help in any way you can. And hopefully we'll see y'all next week. And Anne, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Namaste and blessings to everyone. And
Namaste.
Bye-bye.
Namaste.
Blessings.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Karen.
Thank you.
Bye, Ann.
Sure thing. Bye-bye.
Bye, artist.